Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at possibly the most fun Pokemon to run in the Sunshine Cup, Shadow Blaziken. Blaziken by itself has one of the highest possible attack stats of any Pokemon that's allowed in the Sunshine Cup, and we're running the Shadow version, which means it's even glassier but can output truly monstrous damage. I paired it up with a Miltank on the lead to give some bulk to the team, and in the back I have Trevenant to answer the common save switch of Vigoroth. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and let's see the damage from Shadow Blaziken. We see a tough lead in the first match, Miltank into Lopunny. I'm going to save switch into Shadow Blaziken, and my opponent is going to respond with Gligar. Not a favorable matchup for Blaziken, but Shadow Blaziken deals so much damage that even in losing matchups, opponents will have to respect the Brave Bird with shields. They look for the farm down, allowing me to make it to another Blaze Kick. And even though this is Blaziken's bait move, Shadow Blaziken just does massive damage. Even against the bulky Gligar, that Blaze Kick does a ton of damage. I'm going to send in the Miltank, and I can use Miltank to just absorb energy here. They're firing off charge move after charge move. That's perfectly fine by me. They're going for another dig. I'm farming up. I'm looking to switch and snipe with the Trevenant, but the Gligar lives on like 1 HP and makes the Aerial Ace. So that's a really unfortunate turn of events there. My opponent is now going to send in Lopunny. Lopunny, of course, probably running Triple Axle, but could also be running Fire Punch as well. Either way, it's going to be hitting for super effective damage. If it's Triple Axle, I don't want to shield the first because, of course, future ones will do more. So I am going to let this through. It is going to be the Fire Punch, and now I'm firing off the Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb will KO if they let it through, which they do. In the back, they have Victini. Victini may be a fire type, but it runs a normal type fast move, which means these fast moves are double resisted. I'm going to bait with the Seed Bomb, grab the shield, farm up, switch into the Miltank, and fire off the Body Slam. Body Slam's going to do a lot of damage. Victini, not the tankiest. Victini fires off the charge move, and the rollout goes through. They debuff their defense with a V-Create, and that's a good game. We see a positive lead in the next match, Miltank into Tropius. The Tropius is running Air Slash. Opponent will save switch into Dubwool. I switch out a little late, but I am going to respond with a Shadow Blaziken. While Blaziken can tank a Body Slam, ideally I would love to keep my Blaziken healthy, so I will commit a shield and fire off the Blaze Kick. This will KO, so the opponent is going to commit the shield, and they're going to be firing off another Body Slam. Again, I could survive this, but I decide to commit the shield because I want to try and get some damage off on this Tropius. In comes the Tropius. I make it to the Brave Bird. This is going to one-shot if they let it through, and the opponent is forced to burn the shield. Now that I burnt their final shield, there's nothing preventing the Miltank from being able to land an Ice Beam in the endgame, double super effective damage. In the back, opponent is running Diggersby, and this is a bit tough for the Trevenant, so I'm forced to fire off the Ice Beam to get some chip damage. And now I can send in the Trevenant. Unfortunately, Seed Bomb, while it does hit for super effective damage, is not going to be able to KO, and my opponent is running Fire Punch on the Diggersby. A lot of Diggersby in the Open Great League have switched to Scorching Sands and Hyper Beam, but in this meta, it appears this Diggersby is running the Fire Punch. Diggersby is going to be firing off the charge move here, and Fire Punch will secure the KO on the Trevenant. Back in comes the Miltank. Miltank looking to farm up, can't get the rollout down, as Diggersby is going to make it to the Scorching Sands. That connects, no debuff, and in comes Tropius. This is double super effective damage. Ice Beam into the Tropius, nearly gets the KO, and the rollout will secure the farm down. In comes the Diggersby, and with a fraction of HP left, Miltank gets the KO with the Body Slam. My goodness. Alright, we see a bit of a tough lead in the next game here. Miltank into the Shadow Swampert. I'm going to stay in this matchup to start with, and I'm going to fire off the Body Slam. Body Slam, of course, doesn't KO, but it does some pretty nice damage. The only thing that's awkward about this matchup is the fact that Rollout just doesn't do a lot of damage. Unfortunate timing there from my opponent. They go straight for the Earthquake, and my opponent ends up making a nice catch as they catch the Body Slam onto Jumpluff. Jumpluff is problematic for my backline. I potentially should have just switched right away into the Shadow Blaziken, as I could have threatened it with a Blaze Kick or a Brave Bird, but I decided to stay in, go for the Ice Beam, and my opponent will commit the shield. I've done some chip damage with the rollouts, but it's still not going to be in a range where a Shadow Ball can KO. I'm farming up with the Trevenant. There's a little bit of lag there, and I'm firing off the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is not going to be able to get the KO. I'm just going to let the Trevenant go. I'm going to trust in an energy lead Shadow Blaziken to win this game. In comes the Blaziken opponent, switching back into the Swampert. Swampert makes the Hydro. I'm shielding, and I'm countering down. Whatever's in back, I'm going to leave with a Blaze Kick loaded. Opponent in the back. They have Abomasnow. Opponent running Double Grass, and Shadow Blaziken is poised to sweep the endgame. Blaze Kick gets the shield. It's a CMP tied to the Weather Ball. Shadow Blaziken is extremely glassy, but it can tank a resistant move. Granted, not super well, as you can see, but we are able to tank that. Blaze Kick, massive overkill into the Abomasnow, and farming down the Jump Pluff. We see the opponent running a Blaziken of their own in the next match, but they are not running the Shadow. I'm going to stay in this matchup to start, because Body Slam does a lot of damage to Blaziken. This way, I can either get some nice chip damage, or grab an early shield. Opponent lets that through, I send in the Shadow Blaziken. They're going to bank a move and send in Pidgeot. Pidgeot, of course, hitting for super effective damage with the wing attacks. I fire off the Blaze Kick. I build up to the Brave Bird, so they're forced to commit a shield. I'm going to get farmed down here, which is a bit awkward, and now I send in the Miltank. Very nice charge move timing from my opponent. They easily have enough for the Brave Bird here. I commit the shield, and I shield correctly. That's big. I'm firing off one rollout and the Body Slam. Body Slam into that Pidgeot does get shielded, so my opponent really looking to try and get rid of the Miltank. I decide, you know what? I'm keeping the Miltank. I'm farming up. Opponent tries to go for a catch onto Diggersby, and this is a quick attack Diggersby. I fire off the Ice Beam. That connects, and now that I've softened it up, I can send in the Trevenant. Diggersby will strike first. Are they running Fire Punch? No, they are running Scorching Sands and Hyper Beam. So my opponent in a bit of an awkward spot here where unfortunately their charge moves are either single or double resisted. Seed Bomb will connect. That's not enough to KO the Diggersby, but it does get it very low. They go for another Scorching Sands. My play here is to farm up to the back-to-back Seed Bombs. I need a Seed Bomb loaded to be able to KO the low health Pidgeot, and I do have to keep in mind that the Blaziken does have energy. In comes the Pidgeot. I'm firing off the Seed Bomb here. Seed Bomb will get the KO. I switch into the Miltank to catch the move from the Blaziken. Opponent needs the perfect undercharge to win. They go for the undercharge, but it's a bit too much, and Miltank will take the win. Alright, into the next match. We see a bit of a tough lead here. Miltank into Shadow Steelix. And this is where running Pokemon that are, I would say, a bit more anti-meta can be a bit awkward when you're going up against something like Steelix. Whereas if we're running like the top meta core, which is like Vigoroth and Gligar, those two Pokemon have a lot more play into the Steelix, whereas Steelix definitely requires some finesse with this team. They farm up a lot of energy, they go for the Breaking Swipe. I'm just continuing to farm, looking to bank energy, wait for them to throw, and then I'm going to save switch into the Blaziken. Blaziken will get outpaced here as they're only 2 Dragon Tails off the next Breaking Swipe, and I'm going to commit the shield. So unfortunately, I'm down a shield and I'm debuffed. In comes Oranguru. Oranguru looking for the Confusion farm down. I make it to the Brave Bird. Keep in mind, this is a debuffed Brave Bird and it's still almost able to one-shot the Oranguru. Unfortunately, Oranguru living with a tiny amount of HP, able to grab the final shield from the Trevenant. So the opponent has lost the Oranguru, but they have a 2 shield advantage. They're going to send in the Steelix, just looking to force the Trevenant to throw some energy here. Trevenant will fire off the Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb will get the KO. In the back, it's my opponent's Trevenant, and unfortunately, I don't really have a win con here. I have a ton of energy on the Miltank, but they can just throw a Seed Bomb into the Miltank to deny the energy. I'm farming up, switching, and going for the bait. Body Slam bait, gets the shield. Trevenant looks for the farm down, and Miltank, against all odds, will be able to take the win with the Ice Beam on a sliver of HP. Positive lead in the next match, Miltank into Pidgeot. Honestly, the Pidgeot matchup is not as comfortable as one might like with Miltank, as they make the Brave Bird before you make the Ice Beam, so they can just Brave Bird and dip. So this time, I actually decide to go for a bit of a different strategy, where I go for the Body Slam just to get some chip damage. My opponent is going to full send the Brave Bird here. They're going to save switch into Double, and I'm going to respond with the Blaziken. Blaziken is committing the shield here as they fire off the Body Slam. Body Slam will be thrown, and now I'm returning fire with the Blaze Kick. My opponent, if they want this second Body Slam, they're going to have to commit the shield. I'm in a bit of an awkward situation here. I decide to commit the shield, but things are looking a bit tough. The good news is I leave with energy I can use to threaten the Pidgeot, but here the opponent makes an insane team read, reading that I'm weak to Pidgeot in the back. They fully sacrifice the Vigoroth. Vigoroth down to 1 HP, they're able to snipe with the Pidgeot, and my Miltank is just too low. Had they brought in the Pidgeot there, I had a pretty decent win con because of course Trevenant shuts down the Vigoroth, but my opponent makes a nice read just based off the team comp that I'm running. I switch into the Trevenant looking for the Seed Bomb, but one turn switch means I get outpaced by a turn. Brave Bird is going to KO the Trevenant, and Miltank loses CMP to the Pidgeot there. So a great call from my opponent, and unfortunately we do lose that game. We're looking for redemption in the next match as I lead Miltank into another Pidgeot. Farming up with the Miltank, and a tough call to make. I decide to let it go. They've been brave birding me all day, and they keep doing it now. They're going to send in Gligar. I'm firing off the Ice Beam here. They're probably going to be shielding this, but the opponent calls the bait, and Gligar gets fully one-shot. In comes Vigoroth. Here, arguably, I made a mistake. What I should have done was aggressively switched in the Trevenant and just use the Trevenant to absorb the energy, because their switch clock is not quite up yet. But by sending in the Blaziken, now this potentially sets up where Trevenant has to deal with Pidgeot in the endgame. But as you're going to see, Blaziken still able to put in a ton of work here, making it to a second Blaze Kick, and the opponent lets it go. I have a move on my, oh my goodness, I had a move on the Miltank, but the game lags. I don't get the move. A fast move is thrown, and now I just have to call a bait. It's the Feather Dance. I have to try and Shadow Claw down despite being double debuffed. I'm shielding. Come on, Trevenant. You can do it. Come on. Trevenant will get the win by Shadow Clawing down. We see a familiar lead in the next match, Miltank into Shadow Swampert. This time, I wanted to try something different. I wanted to try save switching into the Blaziken. Blaziken can do surprisingly well here as the counters just shred through the Swampert. Opponent now gonna send in Victini. I'm way past the Brave Bird, and I'm gonna bait with the Blaze Kick. Blaze Kick will be shielded by the Victini. Victini looking for the farm down, and I'm full sending the Brave Bird here. They have so much energy, it's worth it for them to shield, and they will get the farm down. I'm going to send in the Miltank, and I'm just looking to get rid of the Victini and hope that Trevenant can do well in the back. I commit the shield, they fire off the V-Create, and here, unfortunately, I was not 100% accurate on my Victini counts. For some reason, I thought that it was 665, and it is not. It is straight 5, so I just get KO'd. I'm in an incredibly terrible spot. I send in the Trevenant, they send in the Swampert, and they fire off the Hydro Cannon. And I'm thinking the only reason why they would do this is if they're weak to Trevenant in the back. So what do they have in back here? As you're going to see, it is going to be a Vigoroth, and I am incredibly sad. Had I known the Victini counts, and had I just thrown the Body Slam, Trevenant could have pretty easily swept in the endgame, whereas unfortunately, I kept this battle in just as a good example of why it's important to know your counts. If I had those counts accurate, I can very comfortably win this game. Trevenant sweeps the endgame, but since I did not, this game ends up being a loss. Moving into the final match, leading Miltank into Nidoqueen. Considering what I have in the back, it's honestly not bad to see the Nidoqueen here. I wanted to try and throw, as you can see, after 5 rollouts, but unfortunately, the game stuttered. There was a lot of stutter lag when I was playing these sets, unfortunately, so I'm not able to throw when I was hoping to. I'm going to bait with the Body Slam. Opponent is going to call the bait, and I decide, you know what, I'm just going to full send the Ice Beam here. They know that they can live a Body Slam, so they actually do let that through, and I'm able to win the lead. I'm debuffed, so I'm looking to save switch out of here. Whatever the opponent sends in, they send in a Shadow Bibarel. I send in the counter user Blaziken, and I'm able to bait out the Pidgeot, and this should just be game over here. I'm in a really good spot. I fire off the Blaze Kick plus the counter gets the KO. They send back in the Bibarel, and unfortunately for Bibarel, I really like Bibarel, but it is walled here. They're firing off the charge move, just gonna be the Surf. I can let this through, but here's where I remember, oh yeah, Trevenant in the Great League is super glassy. I actually should have shielded that. And by not shielding it, now I'm kind of in an awkward situation where I can make it to 2 Seed Bombs, but they have 2 shields. So now I need Miltank to win this game. As you can see, Blaziken, a ton of fun. I definitely was not playing at my best in these sets, but Blaziken just, oh my goodness, it's so powerful when used correctly. I'm firing off the body slam. Shadow Bibarel, not the tankiest. Miltank, firing off the rollout here. Rollout, I think that might be enough to KO here. Miltank takes one more rollout, but will get the win. All in all, Shadow Blaziken is an absolute beast in this meta. As I mentioned, it is so frail. So it's a Pokemon that definitely requires careful use because it can just get absolutely destroyed by anything that has fast move pressure. But if you're able to leverage a shield advantage or an energy advantage for it, it is probably the most devastating Pokemon for an opponent to encounter because my goodness, it can just take over a game with energy lead or shield advantage. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.